Beef prices in China have risen very rapidly recently. This is directly and significantly related to the brand new beef import policy implemented by China starting January 1st, 2026. Simply put, the reason Chinese people could enjoy cheap beef over the past 2 years was that low-priced imported beef could flood in unrestricted and in massive quantities. This year, the restrictive import quotas and high punitive tariffs introduced by the Chinese Communist Party on New Year's Day have abruptly cut off the unlimited supply of low-priced imported beef to China. I feel angry and fed up about this situation, and I have now begun to boycott the use and purchase of domestically produced Chinese beef. The Chinese government's actions are punishing quality-conscious consumers and forcibly lowering the quality of life for the public. In 2024 and 2025, because imported meat was affordable, many consumers in China's first-tier cities, fitness enthusiasts and high-protein dieters, such as those on keto or carnivore diets, like myself, had become accustomed to making high-quality, high-cost performance overseas grass-fed or original-cut beef, such as Australian grass-fed or Brazilian brisket, a core part of their daily meals. As soon as this policy was introduced, the beef freedom that ordinary people could previously enjoy through market trade was overnight subjected to heavy-handed policy intervention. The steep additional tariffs, 55%, are ultimately fully passed on to end consumers. Those of us who eat meat must now pay several times the original cost just to maintain our previous healthy, high-quality dietary structure. This sense of regression, life getting more and more expensive, quality getting more and more watered down, creates the strongest feeling of deprivation. The Communist Party government is using administrative means to intervene in reverse, forcing consumers to foot the bill for backward production capacity. The official reason given by China's Ministry of Commerce for this policy is that the domestic beef cattle industry has suffered serious damage and needs administrative relief. But this logic is extremely absurd. The core reason Chinese beef cattle farmers have been losing money over the past 2 years is that China's traditional small-scale household farming is inefficient, feed costs are high, and the meat quality simply cannot compete at the same price point with overseas industrialized, large-scale, mature ranches. Consumers believe the government should solve the problem through technological innovation and industrial restructuring, rather than adopting the crudest form of closing the country off tariff barriers. By blocking cheap, high-quality overseas meat at the border, it forces all citizens to buy more expensive domestic beef, whose quality is even less consistent, and where water-injected and bath meat is rampant. This is essentially making consumers subsidize backward production capacity out of their own pockets. Through mandatory administrative or political means, the government forcibly distorts market supply and demand, sacrificing the interests and efficiency of the vast majority of ordinary consumers to bail out and protect those backward production capacities that should have been eliminated in a free market. In economic terms, this practice is known as rent-seeking protection or reverse elimination. The free market upholds consumer sovereignty. Whoever offers better products, higher efficiency, and lower prices wins the consumer's choice. Inefficient enterprises should go bankrupt, thereby forcing societal resources to flow toward higher efficiency. But under the Chinese Communist Party's governance logic, efficiency and people's lived experience are often placed at the back. If cheap overseas beef, imported cars, and foreign internet services were allowed to enter completely freely, China's inefficient small-scale breeders, complacent state-owned auto enterprises, and big internet firms that lost their protective shields would go bankrupt within a few years. The resulting bad debts, unemployment, and lobbying by industry interest groups are what this system desperately wants to avoid. Therefore, the simplest and crudest solution is to abuse administrative power, erecting high walls at the border with a single decree. Whether hundreds of millions of ordinary citizens end up eating more expensive beef, using worse software, or driving more expensive cars has never been a priority metric in the Communist Party's centralized government's meticulous stability maintenance ledger. Political intervention is essentially stock plundering. As soon as the Chinese Communist Party issued the beef quota decree in January 2026, high-quality overseas meat could no longer enter. Millions of ordinary Chinese people, including myself, now have to pay twice or even several times the original price for beef. This extra money paid out does not become new wealth for society. Instead, it turns into administrative monopoly tariffs, or is forcibly transfused into China's backward, inefficient production capacity. This is essentially using state power to scrape money directly from ordinary Chinese people's wallets to subsidize interest groups under Communist Party control that should have been eliminated by the market. A society that replaces market mechanisms with political and administrative orders will ultimately fall into comprehensive, chronic, deformed degeneration. One manifestation is reverse elimination. Truly innovative and efficient enterprises and individuals cannot receive the market returns they deserve, while speculative forces, those skilled at attaching themselves to power, and inefficient capacities that lie under policy protection umbrellas reap huge profits. Another is the devaluation of people's livelihood. Ordinary Chinese people work longer and longer hours, but due to various invisible barriers and man-made inflation caused by administrative intervention, their real purchasing power, quality of life, and freedom of choice continue to shrink. Free trade and mutual exchange of goods are the most natural, ancient, and beautiful laws of human society. The vast grasslands of South American ranches can produce cheap, high-quality beef, while ordinary Chinese people on this side of the ocean earn money through their hard work. When the two sides connect, one side enjoys a better life and the other receives fair compensation. This should be a perfectly logical, win-win and wonderful thing. However, in the logic of the Chinese Communist Party's centralized planned system, this kind of beauty is often placed last, or even viewed with suspicion. For the sake of so-called food security, to protect the iron rice bowls of specific interest groups, or to achieve certain macro-control political goals, power can come crashing down like a sluice gate, brutally severing these connections.